So we have a problem with this.
All right, get it set. Anyway, so he's going to get support. He wants to get. See, he knows how to work where you get money and stuff, foundations and stuff like that. So he's going to try and get some support for what.
Who's doing this? This is your
my son.
That's what I thought you said.
Yeah,
so he knows this business.
Yeah, and he's very successful, but it's in a thing where he's a social worker because he's basically a commute. But he's with a company that got started. There was a woman, but he's number 2, and the real one behind it. And it's a large organization, not quite, a large organization that gets money to poor people. But he gets a real salary, like upper middle class. Are you ready? Now you're going to do it. Tell me when 5.
Stop, now you're late already.
Yeah, welcome very much to Conversation. A pleasure. Welcome to the program. A dear friend of mine from about 1,000 years. I think it's been about 1,000 years we've known each other. He's a newcomer to television, about 45 or 50 years he's been doing telephone, and that's Paul Sladkus, well known to one and all in New York City as a pioneer of of actual network development with the television industry as it grew, as it gestated and grew. And also developing his own work, Milestone, is it called? Milestone Broadcasting. Paul, so welcome to see you. It's so good to see you again.
Harold, always a pleasure.
Been
Thank you very
all
much.
These we count them by decades now, not years, but it's so good to see you.
Thank you.
And in the audience, then, why don't you, I see you're sitting with the world on your knee now.
With the world on my knee. There's no doubt about it.
Here, hold it out in front. Show it. Hold it up. Hold the.
Okay. Here.
Yeah,
So
it's a really geographically correct world of the world, and I should say he's a good news person. He believes in emphasize good news and so forth. But introduce yourself a little bit.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, Harold. Thanks for the opportunity. I love your show for all these years, and you've shared so many wonderful people over the years, and thank you for giving us an opportunity. Well,
mutual admiration.
This is for sure.
Talk for yourself now, young man.
I have been in television business a long time.
Yeah.
I started in the early 70s with down the street here for CBS television.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went out to California in production, and first with the lighting directors and the set decorators and carpenter shop and stuff like that. Then
Where
I went to
in California?
That was here, and then when I went to California, I became assistant manager of studios. Those are the All in the Family days, Sonny and Cher, Cal Burnett, and
were you involved
we did all
in
those shows.
Were those sitcoms?
I was in the sense of those positions within a broadcast, as the stagehands, electronic shop, and so on. And it was really a heyday for CBS, and we just pumped out the shows all day long, and great shows, and historic. All in the Family for me was the show that I got into the.
All in the Family was so good.
I got in the business for. It was so
really good.
You saw, you laughed, you cried, but you knew Archie Bunker was a bigot.
Yeah,
so,
and it had such an effect upon the society. I mean, it was a major definer of the time. Yeah,
by far. So we came back. We were there for a few years, 3 years or so. Came back to New York and worked on some more shows on CBS down the street here. I guess Captain Kangaroo, and then I became a producer of a soap opera called Love of Life.
That's a major soap opera.
That was a major. It was the second oldest by 3 weeks. So it was
3 weeks. What was older?
The first one was Search for Tomorrow.
Search for Tomorrow was the first soap opera.
Right.
I'll be damned.
So that was a wonderful. I got a couple of years with that. Then they decided to cancel it and make Young and Restless, which was another one of their shows, into an hour. And I actually went out to Channel 13.
Yeah, but what were you doing in the soap opera?
I was associate producer. Producer on the show.
What does associate producer do?
Associate producer
in network television
oversees the crews, has some decisions on the talent, but not necessarily the writer. The producer handles the writer. Producers usually handle the finances of the show.
Really? That was your responsibility?
Well, the associate producer would also oversee the finances. The producer really, full producer would oversee the script, the storyline, and how it works.
I see. Okay.
But you would sit in the control room and you say, "This is good. That's not so good, and let's make it nicer."
Right, you are. Right.
So then I went to Channel 13, and another great job in production.
So that brings you back to New York, then? Or
well, I was
New York?
already in New York,
and
okay. And I worked on some more shows, Nature series. We helped start that series.
So great, isn't it?
That was a great series, and
such
still
good
is.
Programming,
Very proud about that one.
Yeah, right.
And then I spent 2 years as a production manager, sort of executive on that program called the Brain series, which was a
I remember
10 parts long series.
You're one of those that I would thank you for that. That was a major series, right.
That was a great one.
Yeah, it's educational.
Trying to get through all those years because I got so many years to talk about.
Yeah,
and,
right.
I did some more shows over there, and over the time and the period, all these years, I got to work on some Frank Sinatra specials, and eventually we opened up the Marriott Hotel Marquis in Times Square with
that Marquis Hotel. Have you been there in Times Square lately?
Yes.
How in the hell do they get those things that they've got on the Marquis, looking out those screens?
Well,
what is that process? They're huge. Great big thing on the Marquis Hotel. I mean, really big. Every time I take a 7 bus coming home, and you go through Times Square, I can't believe it. I mean, it's just. You know what I'm saying?
I know a lot about those things.
Do you happen to know what is that process? Is that a television thing?
No.
What is that?
The actual billboards? Actually, I do know a lot about them because I've rented them. And I will say right here, right now, we're going to have one for our Peace Day event on September 21st.
Really? You mean you're going to have
a billboard?
On the hotel? On the Marquee?
Not on the Marquee. Ours is down by
the... You see, they have a double one.
They're all over the place.
I know, it's just incredible. To me, it is. You know?
Well, I know that area because we
and you're going to have something on the...
Our good news is that we're going to have a board from 12 noon on September 21st, the International Day of Peace, when we gather together and create the largest human peace sign in Times Square. And we'll have on the
at noon.
At noon. That's the day that 193 countries agreed to a day of peace.
I don't remember. Has that been around for a while?
Since 1982.
It's 82. That's an annual thing.
Yes, it is.
New York
reinvigorated around the world. They expect 1.6 billion people to be aware of the Day of Peace, and that's the big day.
They couldn't get many people together for that party. Yeah.
So we are strengthening the message of the UN, which is asking people at 12 noon to take a moment of silence. In fact, we're going to watch some video about that.
Good, that's good coming up. It's going to be at, how long will it be?
So we have an event from like 11 to 12:30.
What's the date?
It's a Thursday. It's a Thursday, September 21st.
Thursday at noon. And it'll be for about an hour or something?
Actually at 11 we're going to start, and we sing some songs.
Is there anything going on in Central Park or anything?
Central Park we also do, and that's where
on the same
we've been doing it.
No,
we have Central Park. Susanna Bastarrica helped found that. I also was one of the founders. We started there in 2002. And we do something on the 17th. September 17th, we'll have an all-day activity. I invite everybody to come there. On the 17th, will be lots of entertainment.
Were you here on the atomic thing, Caldecott? There was 1 million people. There was a demonstration in Times Square where there were 1 million people in Times Square. Was it way the hell back?
Don't know.
You don't remember.
Don't remember that one.
Helen Caldecott was one of the ones who wanted to outlaw the atomic bomb and that kind of stuff.
That's a good idea.
You're for peace, right?
I am for peace. I'm for brotherly, sisterly love.
You're not beating the drums for war, are you? No?
No, I'm not a warrior. I think we're able to try to learn how to communicate with each other or walk away.
You got something on
that says Imagine Peace and Yoko Ono.
You're one of those peaceniks, huh?
I think I'm. I think I'm more. First, I'm not what people might say is a peacenik is a hippie. I'm not a hippie. I'm a president of the class. I wear wingtips, and I'm very conservative kind of a guy. Not right now, but I'm not. I never was. I don't even go to protest. I don't like protests. I'm afraid that someone's going to get hurt at a protest. That's not my way. My way, for me, is I created a broadcast. I have been using media, the media as my message. Okay, and I'm promoting good, positive, life-affirming content.
Marshall McLuhan said the medium is the message.
The medium is the message.
Yeah. And you've understood the media and the power of it as it's evolved. And it's getting ever more so, right?
I understood it only, Harold, I'll say, because I got a master's degree at Fairfield University. And because I studied
you've
the
also
philosophy,
been part of it, so you understood it on the ground.
But when I was a young man, and I, at a high school and a marketing major up there in Quinnipiac, and when I got the master's in communication, because I wanted the TV business, because I thought that it was very powerful, But actually, the school communications over there taught me how powerful the media is, and how people, trust it and believe in it, even though the fact is it's the opinion of the management of the media that we're talking about. And if you go down to the museum in Washington, D.C., you can see 70 front pages of the same story, and you're going to get a little different perspective on each, on the same exact story.
As opposed to what you're saying?
No, there is no opposed. I think the thing is that we just need to understand that newspapers and all forms of media, television and web and so on, is an opinion of someone's a producer. Someone's deciding on what's going to be. Even when you do it live, you got a camera, I can put a camera on you this way, and I can put a camera on this way. You might be smiling at me this way, but your smile might look like a frown this way. And depends on what the director decides to take. Which angle, what's he shooting, or she shooting.
Well, yes and no. I mean, it's a little more complex than that. About did you ever make contact with Marshall McLuhan?
I didn't, but I studied him because he was integral.
Do you think he was intellectually a major voice in terms of understanding the implications of the emerging media, particularly electronic media?
By far, he was.
Was he one?
Forward
Were
thinker.
there others?
Yeah,
Who else
far.
Informed you? I mean,
well,
you're a
you guys, you knew all these guys too, Bucky Fuller, and the.
Well, to know them, I used to visit
probably
with
even
McLuhan.
Interviewed him.
Not McLuhan. I couldn't get McLuhan. He was very, very intellectual. I couldn't get a vibe going. We used to go. He would sit in a room with all these people up in Toronto.
Yeah.
We'd go every year. We'd go every year. And he would be in a rocking chair talking about James Joyce or something like that. But it was all poetry and literature, and he was literary, But he was very, very much the medium is the message and that kind of stuff. And it gave, I still don't think we've taught ourselves well enough the lessons he was trying to teach, I don't think. I'm not sure, but that's another sidebar issue. But you've always been a peacenik, haven't you?
But
I know you're not a peacenik.
No. I'll say I'm okay with the word peacenik, but sometimes it's thought of for example, I did the 20th anniversary of Woodstock.
Oh, wow.
I did it with Richie Havens, and I wasn't at Woodstock.
Did you
I
know
didn't
Woodstock?
even know about
Did you know
Woodstock.
Richie was a dear, 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 dear friend of mine.
So I know him very well.
Yeah.
I knew him very well because we did together.
He used to be on 44th Street.
Yes, he
you
was.
You that office up there?
Yeah, I sure was. And so I have a movie that will come out next year, in 69, in 89. I don't know, where am I? 2019, 50th anniversary of Woodstock.
Oh, really? A movie? You're working on it now?
Well, I already did the major part of it, actually, with Richie and a whole bunch of people in Times Square, actually, where we conduct our Peace Day event. So we have like 3 hours.
You got footage from those events. It was an annual thing you've done, right?
Well, the Woodstock was way back when.
Yeah. 69.
I decided that I didn't know about Woodstock, but I decided that the 20th anniversary would be good, and it actually was going to be a lunar eclipse. We just had the solar one, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I was given Henry Stern gave me Central Park, which was a big deal.
Who's Henry Stern?
Henry Stern was the commissioner of the parks at the time.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah.
And
that's the same guy who kept us off the grass and we were protesting Vietnam because we were going to hurt the grass.
I'm not
You
so.
remember that?
I don't know
He
about
wouldn't
that.
allow us to go to Central Park.
It might have been him.
The peace. You're not a peacenik, or you're not an activist for peace.
I am.
You don't go and confront the establishment. You want to get everybody in on the good vibe.
I go with love. And
Yeah,
I try not to go with pickets and sit-ins.
It's
and
also
things
less
like that.
dangerous.
Well, I always said someone's going to get killed in a
You wouldn't want to
peace
be in the middle of all
event.
that stuff down in Charlottesville. Do you see
No,
that? That
I
was so
don't,
depressing.
I just don't. I think man can be above that kind of confrontation.
Yeah.
I think
You've
we
always been
have
like that.
been.
Who's been the
more,
major Dalai Lama is a big inspiration to you?
I like the Dalai Lama. In fact, we just
You
I
got a
brought this.
picture
I brought
of the
it
man
here.
here.
I brought him, but because
Can you
one
get
of our
a picture
one of our participants.
What do you
and
do? You got to
sponsors-
hold it up to a particular camera. Which camera, darling? Should we hold?
There we
You
go.
There
Okay.
you go.
Well, we're Dr. Kasako, who's a good friend with the Dalai Lama and has been having a birthday party for him for
There you go.
years.
Yeah.
She's created Majushri, an orphanage, and at this orphanage, she's graduated some students that have all gone to college, and it's at the Tibet, at his location in right next to Bhutan, in where the Dalai Lama is, and the Dr. Kasako is part of our.
Yeah.
Well, he's one of my. I
But
mean,
the Dalai
everybody.
Lama is a big inspiration to you. Right?
He's one of them.
He's
There's
very
many
peaceful, yeah.
many peaceful people in my life. I'm an interfaith minister, but this is a great group. I don't know. I had a nice family. I had a mother who was a good person.
I'll bet my family was better than your family.
Well, maybe they
I
were.
had the best family. What about the dog? I had the best dog.
You definitely had the best dog.
Yeah.
We didn't have a dog.
No, you didn't have a dog. Well, that sort of makes that argument moot or everything. But yeah, right. Yeah.
My mother gave me, and we've talked about this too.
Yeah, we've known
Norman
each other a
Vincent
long
Peale's
time. Yeah.
book, Reverend Norman Vincent Peale's book. She was a librarian at Temple Emmanuel.
What was the title of the book?
The Art of Positive Thinking.
Art of
So
Positive.
I've
Okay, yeah, right. Yeah.
tried to maintain that the best I can.
Yeah, you have. You've been putting it out for a long time. And there are people who put on, there's a lot of people interested in that United Nations for Peace, and a lot of people, and there's names, but I can't remember them all. Steinfeld is involved, and other people. There was a UN Peace organization.
Peace Messengers.
Yeah, and I used to belong to one of those things.
Good.
The thing for peace and everything. Go to the meetings, and they would have these. Yeah, right. Because I guess I'm for that too. I have been, but I wasn't as active.
By far,
as
you were.
Yeah.
By
I was
far.
for it, but anyway, so that's really good. And then you had all this background in television and so forth. So it was natural.
And after I left the TV, left Channel 13, I became the charge of marketing at NYC TV, WNYC 31 at that time.
Yeah,
before they sold it.
That was good programming.
They had good stuff, but I was involved with the ethnic multicultural. And you might recollect that I had my own company 32 years.
Yeah, I know. I know
with the multicultural marketing and advertising. So I've helped all the over 100 ethnic groups get sponsorships and advertising from the Sprints and the IBMs and the Western Unions, big companies, to help their local ethnic media or events and so on.
Because you were grounded in marketing in the real world.
Marketing was my undergraduate major, and the master's in communications was marketing.
So in the terminology of the biz, how's peace doing? We got a rating. We should have, Paul. I've suggested this maybe on other occasions, but we got this Dow. It's just breaking all records now and everything. Got the Dow Jones and everything. What do we have by way of measuring the status of the peace movement in the world? I mean, where's the rating, or how do we rate how peace is doing as an issue?
Well, I
as
think,
an issue.
I think
to the Dow.
Well, because the peace is a very encompassing word.
Yes, it is.
Right?
Yes, it is.
Peace has to do with health. Peace has to do with wealth. Peace has to do with just being nice.
Yeah.
Peace has to be with being quiet on your own. I ask people what's good news for them for our good news planet.tv,
Yeah.
and then I ask them, these are the two questions, then I ask them, what does peace mean to you?
What does it take for a person, do you think, on a large scale? We got, what, 7 billion, heading for 10, I guess, right? That's where we rate it. And we've been here a couple 100,000 years.
Right.
And we're going, and we had that thing, 1 million people in Central Park. That was Helen Caldicott against the bombs, you know, and everything.
I heard of it, but I never.
I was there. Yeah, that was something else. That was, the whole damn town was just covered with people. They were everywhere.
I wasn't living here at the time.
It was huge. It was huge.
I was up in Westchester, so
they just were coming down every avenue and everything. But anyway, what's the status of peace? And how do we measure it? And is it, you say war and peace, there's war and then peace, but then peace is a larger concept in a certain sense. And what's the prospect for peace, and what are the trendings that could make for it? Do we have an understanding scientifically or even just artistically or something, what it is that makes for, in its various dimensions, the various populations of the world and the people that make up those populations of the world, nations or what have you, that we could make a measurement of peaceful attitude toward the universe? What makes people able to feel peaceful? You have spiritual things where they can ignore. You could have people being slaughtered right in front of them and they can still be peaceful. Or you have some relationship to the realities of the world and the trends within the reality, the material world. Food, water, children not starving to death and things like that. What's the overall prospects and the trend and the tendencies that might be leading toward a world of peace rather than just peace for a few people who are in the lounge for the leaders on the yacht, the spaceship Earth, if you understand what I mean. A few people have the material ability to feel peaceful. What's the percentages? What are the trends therein? Is there any way keeping track of it? Are the conditions becoming easier for greater numbers of people to be able to be of a peaceful demeanor in their own personal life that could make for a peaceful world writ large, if you understand? Who's keeping track of that?
Right. I don't know exactly, Harold. I think it's a very good question and great for somebody to take on that research project and come up with the questions and the data.
Well, I thought
but
maybe
I believe
you had.
I know I haven't, even though I like research and I've done research with the multicultural communities.
No,
I would love to do that with the peace community.
Okay, I'm going to redo my question.
I'm
going to redo the question about the research and the charts and things like that. I'm just your own sensing.
My own sense, right?
Your sensing
okay.
of the issue.
So,
is there any hope for humanity having peace and justice?
100+%.
Oh, okay.
Because,
even if we don't,
for example, this Peace Day event, has grown significantly to the point that they estimate 1.6 billion people will be aware of September 21st.
Who were you involved in getting that started, and who else? The Peace Day.
No, the Peace Day was a United Nations outreach. Day.
Okay, right. I think I remember.
So it's been around since '82. It got reinvigorated in 2002 as a result of a gentleman named Jeremy Gilley from England. He made a movie, and then he sort of almost petitioned the UN to consider a new resolution. So they did a new resolution which I say inspired the UN to take it on a little more seriously in 2002. So since 2002, which is when we've been doing the Central Park event.
Oh, you've been doing it since then? Okay.
Yeah, a long time. And I see, well, from my perspective and from my seat of good news broadcast and for the kinds of people that are coming to us on all the walks of life of what peace could mean, okay?
Right.
40% of my show is health. So just on the health side alone, if you're healthy, you're more than likely going to be peaceful, okay? On the people taking care of the people that are starving, or take care of the people that are the domestic violence, or, you know, all the concerns that don't make life peaceful, I'm inundated. I tell people I'm stressed from so much good news in the world, because I'm in a position where people are wanting to share the good of my next door neighbor. and so on and so forth. I
You
could do a
think
billion
so?
shows. Well, for
Really?
me, I could do a billion shows. Right here at MNN, I could walk out of here with 1,000 shows
Of
in a day.
individuals who are sharing in their thinking?
Look, you're controlling your people right here. I mean, the world is good. We don't emphasize that. And if we're willing to say that the world is good, and if we're willing to say this one, I don't know why people can't either blurt it out and scream it out. The world is peaceful. The majority of the world is peaceful. So, and nobody can tell me any different because there's not that many people really fighting and killing. There are people, there are serious concerns. We wish they wouldn't do it. But if you put the number 7 billion out there, how many are really with guns and shooting or raping or are doing bad? It's a small. And Richie Havens told me his number was 10%.
10% what? I don't
10% out of humanity.
10% out of humanity what?
Are not peaceful people and are
well, that's a rough
murders.
guess or something.
But 10%, you know how much? 10% of 7 billion is 700 million.
Yeah, that's a
Do
big
we have
number. 700
million fighting? You got 100,000, maybe 150,000. ISIS, how many soldiers do we got? How many of this, how many of that? Add them up. We don't have 700 million people fighting in this world. That leaves 90% of the world peace.
Well,
are
not fighting.
Are not. Well, that's good enough for me. For me. That's, I'm not saying their conditions are that great, because there's 2 billion that can't get anything to drink.
As a mental experiment or something like that, what do you think the percentages would have been, say, in the year 1900 or the year 1800 or the year 1700? What has been the trend?
I unfortunately don't know the answer.
No, I know. I'm not asking for a different. I'm just saying for a guess.
Well, if
have things
my
been,
answer,
my question is, do you think things? There was a song, the Beatles. You remember Beatles? They were pretty good, weren't they?
I got my master's degree on the Beatles.
Yeah.
Actually.
The Beatles, they sang the song, or was it the song? I'm not sure. Yeah, but they said it's getting better all the time. Do you think that's true?
Better.
Do you think that's true? So you're comparing it. Let's say, let's go back to the I don't know, the year 1000 or something, 100-year journey. Is it getting better? The likelihood. First of all, is there a connection between justice, in the fullest sense of the word, and peace, or not? Or what makes for peaceful attitude on the part of an individual or a group? And what's the relationship between whatever that is and the material world, not just the praying to God or something like that? Or you could put up with a lot by just having some God you could say is all in the hands and handing it over to them or something. But the material world, the money world, the world of having the means for having a material life that is satisfying or safe for you and the kids and all that kind of stuff. What's the trend? Is it getting better?
My answer, which I have shared many times, and I'm thinking now, do I feel like that I still feel that I should share that thought, is that things are still the same as when we were in the cave. There was always a bully, and there was always some people that were afraid of the bully, and there was some people that just, were just plain old nice. There was always a bully. I think what maybe is getting better or has the potential to get better because of more mass communications. Because when we were in the cave, there just was the cave people that would know, everybody in that community wouldn't know the other community in the cave 50 miles away, more than likely, let's say, whatever. Now, so I am going to say from our communications background of plus years that the potential of understanding the kindness of man can be seen more now than ever, to more eyes and more people. That the whole world through and actually the phone in my pocket is one of the biggest ones. A cell phone is the biggest medium.
Smart phones. That's one of the
just a regular smartphone, and and how many are out there? A couple billion. So, with the right message, we've still got to get back to the focus and the emphasis of the good in the world. And if we do that, as we continue to do that, because people do continue to do that, we will be closer to trust. We're closer to cooperation. Closer to feeding the little child that's dying, as you and I were talking in a third world country because they can't get a glass of water. We got to become smarter.
There's too much of that.
There is too much, and we could just have a water pipeline around the world, just like we had the transatlantic pipeline.
Well, that's what I wanted to say.
We got to get our act together.
That's what I wanted to get to too, because at the one hand, it's one thing whether if you're really in a state of absolute inability to have something, that's one thing. But if you have an ability, like we have an ability measured, and there's UN and things like that. We have an ability technologically in order to take care of everybody. No, we have that ability in terms of the abstract technological augmentation and be able to provide for the world population. We could be doing that, but we're not.
Correct.
We're not doing it. We're not doing it. We're still tied into thinking scarcity. That the strong will rule over the weak, as has been the case since Rome and from everywhere else. There's always a few people sitting on golden plates up in the castle and the people wallowing around in the mud. And ladies seeing their kids starving to death. And that's been the history of the world, and it still applies. And we do not take advantage, or we do not realize that there's a new change, if there is one, that makes... See, I would disagree with you in a sense. I don't think the peace has been there. I think the peace is yet to become in a collective way.
In a collective way, I agree with you, because the mindset isn't that the world is peaceful. The meek...
No, it hasn't been peaceful. It's been warring. Or the strong ruling over the weak. The whole of history. I got a line for you. It's from a sort of a $5 an hour poet and everything like that in some saloon downtown or something like that. Not anybody of any great... No, his name was James Joyce. You know, a minor poet. James Joyce said, "History is a nightmare from which we're attempting to awaken." What do you think of that line? Is a nightmare from which we're attempting to awaken. History. You're trying to put a patina on all of history, it seems to me. It's always been good, everything's fine, and everything's good, and everything's taken care of, and just say peace, sing peace, and everything will be all right. And I'm trying to be a bit of a devil's advocate here.
No, what I'm saying, Harold, is that if we have 100% and use 100% as our barometer here,
yeah,
that out of the 100%, the warriors and everything related to warriors are 10, 20% maybe, nothing more. And we do not emphasize and celebrate the 80% of good guys.
Well, wait a minute, that's saying warriors.
Inherited the warriors, the fighter bees.
You said the warriors.
Yeah, the warriors. The warriors are like they can't communicate.
The warriors are the leaders.
No,
the
no,
warriors
no.
are the 20%
out of the 80% are 20% are the warriors. In my mind.
You think it's that high?
No, actually, I think it's much less.
Yeah, right.
I was okay with the 10% that Richie suggested.
Yeah, right.
I'm with you know, because if you just even total up how many people are fighting on planet Earth right now, but see. If you think about peace, there's more levels to it. They might not be fighting, but some guy might be punching his wife. Okay,
yeah,
so that's
ugly.
some other ugly, stupid thing, right?
And everybody's nervous about being able to not have them be thrown out of their house, and everybody's been nervous, and everything is on a razor's edge, and most of the people cannot have elementary security as a given. We got a capability of providing housing, of providing water, we're providing everything for all the population of the world that we've never had. You couldn't do that. I had a thing, you know, I saw a thing, I'm going to take a minute. Yeah. I saw a program on television, I brought it up a couple of times, I tried to bring it up as like a metaphor for the human condition. Maybe that's wrong to try and find metaphors all over the place that includes the whole. That's a problem with me, trying to find metaphors that can bring understanding to the whole process, you know. But they had a program on television. It was on television, and it was on one of the good WN. They have good stuff on public television, on Channel 13. They had one, and it was about, it's got a lesson. It was about Edwardian England. And they had the thing, they're living in the manor houses. You have a few people, and the class consciousness in England is so thick you could cut it with a little spoon or something, you know, the class. And it was, and a few people in the manor house, right? And then they had built in architecturally to the manor house these walls. Behind the walls, it was like in the walls, big walls, they had spiral staircases that the servants who had to serve them would go up the thing to do it, so they wouldn't mess up the environment that's going to give upset to the lords that had everything. It was very much, and they had the people, and they had a thing where, and for some reason, I may have it wrong, but they had to carry buckets of water, and particularly warmish water, up these spiral stairs, and the damn buckets weighed 40 pounds. I can hardly get 40 pounds off the ground. And to carry the damn bucket up a spiral staircase to where the Lord is there, and then to pour at a bucket at a time into a tub so the Lord could have a warm bath. Now we got warm bath is able to be provided to every, let's say just in much of the civilized world, everybody has a tap you turn. It's good water, and the other one brings warm water. You can have a bath. Everybody. If you can't have a bath, there's some sort of... We've made progress in being able to bring that one aspect of a comfortable life. A warm bath is important to me, particularly in the winter. And you can bring it to everybody now, rather than just to the few. You know, it's always been a few in the castle having everything, and everybody else wallowing around in the mud of inadequate capability to provide for anything other than a few. Scarcity, except for a few, and it still holds. You get the GDP, the gross domestic product, and all those kind of figures for the world. It's still a few, 1% of the population own all the wealth and have all the power as it is now. I mean, I don't want to rain on your parade, but it's not a world that's adequate to what the need is if we're going to talk about liberating in a material way the population of the world, which has never been available to us for 200,000 years. It was never enough.
Well, I think
now we're maybe getting to where through technology we'd be able to have it so everybody could be a have, rather than at the get-go. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, I understand, Harry.
But we don't do it.
Well, we do
we still
some of it.
presume that for one to win, somebody else has to lose. You got to keep them scurrying and scared and all the rest of the things, or throw them out of their house. Make them be slaves, wage slaves, and all of it like that. They got to keep them hopping and under the thumb of the people who own all the wealth. It's still a very unjust world across the world, and even in the United States of America and the developed world.
So, I mean, me, we still.
Now,
I was going to get back.
That's not exactly a peaceful way to see things.
Well, I'm not saying that I'm not saying that the world's at peace by no means.
Do you think
All
it
I'm
ever
saying,
can be
the
a
only
universal peace?
Yes, I
you think that's a possibility?
You look at my back behind here.
10,000 years,
I was
might
told
get right.
that what our business, our good news business is hope. All right, that's why I have the word hope there. Hopefully, you can see the word hope. Yeah. You know, I hope that the person in the little African town has a bath soon, and before that, I has a glass of water.
Freedom from want. Freedom from being slaves.
But this is a big issue. Here's the Hug a Planet by Robert Francia. Okay. Oh, and I wanted to make
I need something to hug.
I want to give this to you, and I want to give this to you, and as a good news, I gave one of these awards to the guy who did this Love International Film Festival, and I'm giving it to you, Harold, also. For the great work. You're the second person I've given this to. And
I'm honored. Who was the first?
Was this gentleman. He was kind enough to invite us out here and gave this is everyone's piece award that was given to the
That's
world of
heavy.
peace.
I can hardly lift it. Solid gold. Solid gold.
I don't think it's gold.
We're okay. We've got our solid chunk of gold.
I think it's
I'm just making
lead.
a joke.
It's
No,
lead. You want to watch some video?
Lead is pretty,
Let's show some
by all
video,
means,
okay? Let's show Ringo Starr.
I'll shut up. I'll shut up.
No,
okay,
no.
Yeah. So what are
Everything's
you
going to be fine
What
if
are
we
we
all
doing?
stick together.
It's getting better all the time.
All the time. All the time.
Yeah,
Let's go to. We're going to see
see?
Ringo Starr doing here and our
Ringo.
Peace Day sizzle reel
God bless
of what
the
we
Beatles,
do,
yeah.
and then we have some more things to Galliano.
My name is Ringo.
Oh, there
Peace
you
and
go.
love, everybody. Peace and love.
Yeah.
I'm Dr. Oz. We have an obligation to provide a peaceful world for our children.
I would say there are so many small things that we can all do to improve our daily lives and the lives of others.
We've got to work much harder, no matter what country, religion, or culture.
Peace is the most precious possession we can achieve. The opposite of peace is the wasting of life, bloodshed, and arriving at no solution whatsoever.
Today is September 21st, the day that all countries of the United Nations declared as International Day of Peace. Today, we strengthen that UN message and have created a Peace Day party event and broadcasting it live to the world, our human peace sign symbol. Let's celebrate each other. Life is a gift. Have a party. Have a Peace Day party. Listen to over 50 nonprofits and individuals who share their thoughts to help educate children.
You're watching the Peace Day, global internet broadcast celebrating the United Nations International Day of Peace.
Please sing along to these well-known peace and love songs with the words on the bottom of the screen.
A moment of silence for peace. I'm going to have my moment now. Ooh, I feel good.
World peace. World peace. World peace.
Good idea.
World peace. World peace. World peace. World peace.
The sun'll come out tomorrow, so you gotta hang on till tomorrow. Come what may. Tomorrow, tomorrow, I love ya. Tomorrow, you're always a day away. Tomorrow, tomorrow, I love ya. Tomorrow, you're always a day.
Oh, every National Day.
There you go.
Guitar Work Creative Day. Well, I think that's a good idea. Wonderful. Thank you, Paul. That's a really
We have
wonderful
some more.
thing.
We have more
oh,
things.
There's more Peace Day parties.
I don't know. You have some more time. We have some of the organizations that are part of our event and what they're doing, because this is serious.
You know, I remember when I first heard that some little kid, you know, brings a gun into school. And then you start hearing all these problems.
I have a school where there's been 24 murders since January 1 in my neighborhood. I have kids suffering from post-traumatic stress in children.
Kids have so much on their plate this day and time.
I can't concentrate.
I get overly frustrated sometimes.
Kind of angry all the time.
And then they introduce this technique where the student can dive within and enliven that inner happiness, inner intelligence, inner creativity and love. And they see the problems start evaporating.
Well,
it's important because, you know, we're targeting the kids, and we want the kids to be successful in their life, and we want them to be the ones also coming to our games and with the smiles on their faces, and, you know, we just want to be that positive influence of coming out here and showing them that there's somebody that cares. So, you know, that's why it's important for us to teach these character traits when we come in and do our cheer program and things like that.
Well, the self-esteem program, the cheer program, ties into a lot of the things that we do here at Jefferson with our core values and our anti-bullying program. When kids learn about self-esteem, it helps them throughout the day and in their lives.
Monk will do the compassion prayer and the long life for His Holiness, the Dalai Lama.
Good evening. Welcome to the birthday celebration, the World Peace celebration of this fall. To my mentor, Dr. Festo Tasmura, who is the founder of Gaia Holistic Foundation, a woman who has given her life to peace, and she will give us our introduction. Dr. Festo.
She said that you can feel
Thank you for everybody who has come today. Compassion is the title of this evening is World Peace with Compassion, through compassion. And I made up this sign. This sign we're going to use it when there is a flag ceremony. It's World Peace Out. Wow. World Peace Out. Wow. So we want you to understand love and compassion. And I have this unbelievable Tibetan orphanage in Himalayas. And this is really unbelievable children. We are born with compassion. And this celebration is every year. I'm going to do it every year, so long as His Holiness is alive, maybe it's more. I thank you so much for coming.
Beautiful, yeah.
This is a piece of art that we're been donated, that we're going to...
725 nails and 400 yards of string, 30,000.
He calls it the light of humanity.
Yeah, okay. Oh.
Torch of humanity.
Okay, well that's
there we
pretty
go.
good.
So yeah, we got a lot of...
That's a beautiful thing.
A lot of stuff going on.
Oh, that peace work, isn't that wonderful, the things they're doing and everything. Okay, that's fine. We only got a couple minutes left, but that's encouraging that that's there and everything. There's been these spiritual traditions that have been there to bring solace to humanity. 200,000 years we've been on the planet, and there must have been need for solace in all the 10,000 generations, and we're at a time now of a generation. And one of the things you're talking about is the information technology that has had such a hand in what you've done with the television and all that, and the internet. And look at the things you can see with the internet, Google World, and all these kind of things that are going in terms of the information technology and the educational capability of it, raising consciousness to what the realities are or could be, are just vastly expanded. But I wonder if you've noticed, I don't know if you have or not, I think the thing that brings a sense of surety to most people, given our experience, is to have a good bank account. I think the thing that brings a sense of security more than needed anything else is money. And that the income distribution is absolutely ridiculously obscured to just a few on the real scale. And then more differently than that, if it could, you see the people who brought all this great capability and so forth, it's now transmogrifying into robotics. Do you see that? It's coming light years now. It's transmogrifying into robotics. And the world is now confronted with the fact that we're going to have a productive process that is extended of all our capability, despite what we might want to hold on to the work ethic and these kind of things that we've used to solve, for people to get that. It's undercutting, and will be undercutting, the human contribution through what they call labor to the productive process. That's the major way in which money has gotten to the masses, is by being either a slave or a wage slave or a employee within a productive process, where the work of the labor theory of value is being undercut, and it's being systemically undercut by our technological state of things. It's going to undercut the labor theory of value, which has informed the whole economic process by which you keep wages and labor and the productive input of human beings to the productive process is going to be undercut. And it's going to then you're not going to have a way of people being able to clear the market of warm water and freedom from food shortages, or any of the things that money brings. It's the money that brings those things to the population, and the means by which we would be doing that is being undercut by our own technological success. And one last little thing to make us not feel, the weapon systems now, I've seen modeling, the weapon systems, unlike as recently as the Second World War in Europe against fascism, they've now reached a point, particularly with the Trident submarine fleets of the United States of America, they've reached a point where if in a spasm of, and it came very close, it comes very close to where one person is going to do this to set it off, if it's unleashed, it means the end of our species, the weapon system. We've been protected in our impotence on the destructive side. The things that are going to undercut the means by which we'll be able to distribute real security to the masses of the people that don't have that now on a world scale are being undercut by our technological success and the danger of setting that off. So we live in a time of unqualified capability. At the same time, we have a technological capability of providing for everybody, but we won't do it because we have to hold on to the systems by which the slavery has held for 200,000 years, and we're not able to think about it. The leadership is not able to think about ways of getting effective buying power into the hands of the masses of the people to get the things that can be produced in a positive way. They lack leadership in terms of the intellectual level. It makes me very, very worried that the odds are we're probably going to maybe entropy rather than all celebrate this, rather than celebrating a world where everybody is liberated in a very real sense, just as the people who've been at the top have been able to be. But we're at a time of qualitative transformation, and we lack leadership of how we're going to do it, or effective people who are able to affect that rather than just live with the old outdated systems that are in place.
Another thing that Robert Ferencza gives me.
Okay, thank you.
With the Hug a Planet that I bestowed upon you.
Yeah, thank you.
You deserve actually a bank also. I would love to give you, because you would do well with the money. This is a...
no, don't give it. No, not me. No. It's the ideas of how we're going to... you have to have an alternate way of where we're going to form capital.
Oh, I agree.
And the ownership of the technological means of production, which are going to eliminate the labor input. That's coming.
Well, I understand
and there's no mention of it. Only labor, wage slavery is the way we're going to distribute some little buying power to people.
So the one
and there's a lack of effective understanding at the intellectual leadership level.
So I was coming to
All right,
the
sorry.
fact. No, it's okay, Harold. You're exactly saying what I agree with, actually, because. See, this is a picture of the planet from the Apollo 17.
See. Can I
okay?
see?
Yeah,
Can I
sure.
see?
That's the blue marble.
Oh my God, that's
the blue,
inspirational. I think we ought to get the planet right.
This is from the moon. This is the moon shot.
From the moon.
Okay, and we use that as our business card because this says, and shows that really there's no borders, there's no planets, no colors of people or whatever. This is the reality of what's here until we get closer down, and then we have divisions. We have segregation. Where countries are segregated. We have people.
Hate.
We have our challenges.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm on the more that there's more that are not. We don't have to worry about challenges because most of the people want to do good and would work together than the few that aren't working and beating people up. But that's I've spoken on that.
You're optimistic.
So
in terms
I'm
of
sticking with the hope.
Yeah.
I'm sticking with the hope, and I'm not the only one because, as John Lennon said, there's millions of people that are, imagine that are believing in that, and I think it's much healthier to believe that way anyway. That we are going to resolve these I'll call them even inequities, okay, of our brothers and our sisters. It's definitely not a planned, organized Mother Earth with the naked apes and the animal kingdom, which are part of it.
We're coming to the end of the Homo sapien experience. It's not a qualitative transformation like a historical move, like the Second World War or something. We're coming into a new relationship in the universe of a liberated, massive liberated, 100 trillion cells in a human organism. Every individual cell has a meaning of its own. It's all connected into a system that operates as a system. And if we get a liberated humanity where they don't have all the class stuff and everything that's tearing us apart, then we will have like a gigantic jam session.
We're hitting Nirvana.
Been in a gigantic jam
I'm a musician.
There'll be a jam session, and it'll be like a jam session of a united humanity that will synergistically
That's the spirit.
Connect us to the universe at a level transcendent to what we've been. And we're in that time now, and we don't face it. We still reify the old outdated institutions of 200,000 years that are outdated. That's a problem because we don't have the leadership of how we're going to make a transformation.
Well, this show's going out.
It's resonatingly there for us to do.
We're going to be okay.
Well, okay.
And we're gonna do that. We're gonna realize that, and there's gonna be more brotherly and sisterly love, and it's probably more than likely as a result of wise people using communications in a
Those
caring
wise people
way.
are going to use communication, and the bids are already out. The thing is in. It's going to undercut the labor theory of value. The robots are going to take over the productive process. You're not going to need middle management people. That's how they get their salaries and their ability to feel a have. Everybody's made to feel like a have-not.
So do we go to a world socialist setting?
I don't think it's socialist. It could be capitalist. Everybody should have a piece of the action as a way of getting. They're going to have to distribute. They're going to form capital and where a piece, instead of it all being 1% owning everything. 1% of the population owns something like half the population of the world, or 16 people own the wealth of the world, comparable to half the population of the world. Absurd. It's worse than the feudal orders. And we take it as an accepted situation in which our politics are going to work out. We're in deep trouble. But one of the troubles we really have, we're running out of time for television programs. Now that's a real problem. Paul, it's been so good to see you, and I take with your welcomes of peace with heart, hope, and say I'm all with you and everything. And thanks for such a well-led life. Your pleasure to have his perception. I'm sorry we've run right out of time. That's it for now. We'll be coming back again next week. So thank you very much. Thank you, Josiane, for putting together another fine program.
Yeah,
That's
great.
It. Stay tuned. Keep the faith, and we'll be coming back tomorrow. Yeah. Thank you for viewing. That's it. That's 58. Okay. That's
there we go, Harold. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well.
Okay.
Better management.
Okay, that's done. Now, you said I'm going to have this?
Yes.
Isn't that it? You want to see something handsome, sweetheart? There, look. You can look at it, Josiane.
I'm sorry, Josiane, I don't have it.
No, it's a good. It's really good. It's
Costa Rica. Do you know Susan Costa Rica?
Yes.
Susana Costa Rica? I had her on my show. She had balls like that.
She had it already?
Yeah, because Robert shares with
Oh,
all of us.
you've heard it all before. Yeah. You had it here in
She was a professional concert pianist.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Play the piano on Sunday.
Concert
My house.
completely.
I get her to play.
She's also a healer.
No, she doesn't play. Huh?
And she was also a healer. She does those
Yes, she is.
special.
Gaia Institute.
Yeah, she's a wonderful.
You still on 80th Street?
Yeah, yeah, no, she's super person.
Yeah,
I am,
she's wonderful.
I am.
Well, it's good to see you.
She
We've
always
been through
invite me
this.
to those events that cost $300, $400, $500.
Yeah, they're pretty expensive events.
Yeah, very expensive.
I didn't get into this
I
stars thing, but it's okay.
It's not my.
I'm sorry I didn't get carried away, but anyway, hope you're right.
Oh,
I think they're going to need the economic.
I pray I'm right.
I look at the economic thing, and the thing I get is called not the communist it's the capitalist manifesto.
I agree.
They're going to have
a
some
guy.
way of getting ownership in the formation of the capital as a way of distributing buying power to the masses, other than wages.
I got senior
And that's
vice
something
president
that's
of
gotta
Merrill
be
Lynch
brought
that
up in
talks
the
about
halls of
money.
Congress,
He talks
huh?
about money, exactly what you're talking about, how important money is in world peace. Because it's money that causes a lot of the
Do you
aggravation.
believe that figure that it is 16 people have the wealth of half the population of the world in the markets or in the economic reality?
I could believe it that there's 16 people, but so what do? We as because we're not organized, disorganized human beings. There's no world leadership. It's country
Well,
leadership.
that's what I was saying.
I understand that. I understand. There's not the, we're not organized.
I think they ought to have something like Good News Broadcasting or something.
I think they should have the women run the world.
Oh, that might be a good idea. I can understand that. No way, men
That was
are
like
such
men. They want to fight.
Paul, would you be interested to give me your coordinates if you want me to get in touch with you? Would you like
Sure.
to be on other shows eventually?
Yeah, my pleasure. Yeah.
If you give me your phone. Oh.
Well, here's my card.
Yeah, wonderful. I love that card. It's very inspirational.
Oh.
Let me give you mine.
Maybe I put my show on here, Mr. Harold. I have to fill out the paperwork, right? Or
Well, I don't know how they. I don't know what they do. How they do it. It's they got a board and all that. And I don't know how they select what they're going to have.
Oh my God.
But they try to keep it open to the. You might be too well established. They try to keep it open to the people that are really on the fringe. The poor and the unheard of, or the unheard, and so forth. You've got a voice.
I qualify for the first word you said.
What was the first word? What was the first
The poor.
You're not poor. You
Harold, I never made money with this in 19 years. You kidding me?
Well,
I didn't make 5 cents with
you
this.
must be doing something right.
I live frugally.
Do you? Yeah, you really?
I do.
What does this say? What is it?
I always imagine. I always lived frugally. Thank you.
Well, anyway, I'm not sure what's going to. I'll let you know. It'll be up on YouTube by tomorrow.
Oh,
if
really?
all goes well, it should be up there. I'll send a link.
Can you send a link to me? Yeah.
Well, yeah. And
right away, because
I used to be able to
that would
give
be
you a
great.
DVD, but the quality.